Welcome to the Off the Dome podcast. My name is Lucas. Here, joined by my buddy Andy Hedges. How we doing today, buddy?
Good, bud. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Ready to start this podcast. Ready to talk some Mizzou sports. Always excited to talk Mizzou sports, and now I get to do it with my good Mizzou buddy of mine. How was your day?
Good, man. I worked 8 to 3. Got off a little early, which was nice. I'm at clinical right now in Topeka, Kansas. Enemy
Ew.
territory, I know, but I
Yeah,
work with a
ew.
lot of KU and Wildcat fans, and it's pretty tough. But I get to come home and talk Mizzou with you, so it's all good.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. Yeah. There's actually a funny story, kind of off topic. There's someone I work with, and this happened just the other day. He had a KU sweatshirt on, but he says he roots for MU and KU. How do you feel about that?
Okay, well, so that's a segue to how I became a Mizzou fan because I was a kid, didn't grow up in a sports family. My dad didn't really care. He went to Mizzou, but wasn't like diehard. My mom didn't really care. So I had a KU throw pillow at like age whatever you were in third grade, 9. I know. But I had like Mizzou other stuff. So I go to show and tell one day, and I'm showing off the throw pillow. I'm like, I don't know why I chose that because it's a throw pillow, but yeah. And then my classmate Taylor was like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Can't do what? You can't cheer for KU and MU." And I'm like, "Why not?" He's like, "You just can't." And I'm like, "Okay." So then I spent about a week doing the pros and cons of which one I'm going to cheer for. And obviously, dad went to Mizzou, live in Missouri. Way more family went to Missouri. Um, my farm's in Missouri. And then I was like, okay, KU. My grandpa went there, one aunt, and I've got some friends that like KU. But I was like, nah, we're going to be a Tiger. So, and you could argue that I would have enjoyed a couple national championships in basketball by now if I'd chosen the other one. But I think I made the right choice. Met you, wouldn't have met you any other way. Going to Mizzou. So it's been a lot of fun, and we got a really good football team this year.
I agree. I agree. That's funny that your origin to becoming a Mizzou fan is a little bit different than mine. So growing up, actually, still to the day, my family's not huge into college sports. My older brothers were kind of into it. Like my older brother was a Duke basketball fan, kind of like a Mizzou football fan. My oldest brother, like kind of like they watch Mizzou now because like I text them every day Mizzou stuff every day. So they kind of keep up with it now, but like growing up, it was just like kind of on my own. Like my bedspread, like my comforter, my sheets, my pillowcases were all Mizzou. Um, like from the first memory I have of college sports in general, it was just Mizzou. So um, actually, I actually want to dive right into that. So you kind of gave us your first Mizzou, like how you became a Mizzou fan. What is like your earliest Mizzou memory?
Yeah, we talked about this before the show. But I think, and I don't remember the whole game. I really honestly just remember kind of the final score, realizing we were number one in the country, beating KU at Arrowhead, Border War, 2007. And I remember a little bit of that next game that we're not going to talk about because that ending wasn't as happy. Uh, but yeah, I mean, remember that, sacking Reesing in the end zone, safety, winning that game. That was my earliest one. That was a hell of a team. I do remember the Oklahoma Big 12 championship. I remember watching that in my parents' bedroom at my farm and getting whooped and being sad. But then I also remember watching them beat the hell out of Arkansas, the Cotton Bowl. And then, yeah, ever since then,
You just said Arkansas, yeah.
I did. I
Yeah,
did.
that's when they had Darren McFadden. Yeah, I remember. So that's actually funny
Yeah,
you bring
yeah,
that
yeah,
up
yeah,
because
yeah.
it feels like our first memories are like the same. Because I remember that MUKU game. I know I already told you this, but like for the sake of the show, like I was at every Thanksgiving growing up. We go to my aunt's on the Saturday after, and
Yep.
Mizzou always played on. I mean, college football's on Saturdays, so I would run downstairs. All us kids, 2007. We were how old? 8 or 9.
9. Yeah, 9.
So as a 9-year-old, I run downstairs. I turn on the game. I tell my cousin, "Don't touch the remote. Mizzou's on." They didn't know. They were too busy playing hide and seek or tag or whatever. I was too busy watching Mizzou, and that was like the first game. Like I remember is Mizzou versus KU when we were ranked 1 and 2, the good old days.
I
And
know,
then
right?
I was actually going to bring up when we played Arkansas and they had Derek McFadden. I remember going into that game as a little kid, like nervous. Didn't have to really be that nervous, I
Oh,
guess,
whoop
but
them, what, 38-7?
yeah.
Yeah. It was an ass
So,
whooping.
because Derek McFadden was that dude. So I went into
I
nervous into
know.
that game,
No.
but it felt good to win it. So it's kind of crazy. I feel like most people around our age probably have similar memories. I mean, those are especially that KU game. I'm pretty sure every Mizzou fan knows that game.
Oh yeah.
But we'll kind of segue that Mizzou football so far. Tell me, give me a rundown from how you feel of the team so far, the games that you felt the best about. We'll just kind of start with.
So, you got me into the group chat that we're in right before the season started. I think it was like early August, late July. I was
Mhm.
buying on it all into the hype. I knew we had a great defense coming back from last year. Offense, I was like, okay. And I was again buying into the hype about Brady Cook. I'm like, he was playing hurt last year. He's going to be better this year. I was buying all in. I didn't know, I wasn't saying natty, but I was like, yeah, we can compete in the SEC. Why not?
Mhm.
And then the first two games happened, and I'm still there. I know you're back in Lee Summit, but I'm still in Columbia. I'm finishing up grad school, and I go to those first two games, and South Dakota felt okay. It kind of felt like
Mhm.
Louisiana Tech last year. I was like, all right, we won, and we won 35-10, I think, but like that's an FCS school. Why
Yeah.
didn't we blow them out like 55-7?
Mhm.
And but that one felt okay. And then the next week we play Middle Tennessee State, and we barely won by 4. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, I remember I was standing in line for concessions. I think halftime had ended. I was missing a little bit of the third quarter, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is Mizzou sports. Got my hopes up again, and we're just gonna have another lackluster year. Like I was hitting rock bottom, Mizzou depression, and then they held on to win that game. And I remember talking to you about this the week after, and I was like, dude, we have played Middle Tennessee State twice before this, and for some reason, this damn team plays Mizzou tough. I'm like, it played 2003 Mizzou tough, and we won in, I think, overtime. And then they beat a Drew Lock Mizzou team in 16 or 17 and ruined our homecoming. I don't know what it is about that school, but I was telling myself, I'm like, hopefully it's just that school. And it's just, it was a trap game. We got through it on to K State. And the other half of me was like, it's going to be a long year. And then we go to play K State. It was parents' weekend. My parents came down. They hadn't been to a game since we were freshmen, and we got whooped by I think Purdue. Um, so I was just hoping to be a close game. We got our ass whooped last year in Manhattan. I was really hoping for revenge, but I was just hoping for a close game, honestly, after the last 2 weeks. And then we all know how that went. And I was up in nosebleeds with my parents. And it was well. I remember being blown away at the first touchdown to Luther Burden. Brady Cook actually threw a deep bomb, and I'm like, "Oh, we haven't seen that."
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's new." So that was reassuring. And I'm like, "That's new." I looked at my parents. I'm like, "I don't know what you did or what good luck charm you brought, but I'm like, that is not the Mizzou football I've watched the last 2 weeks." Um, and then yeah, they hung in with them the whole game. We couldn't seem to stop K State, and then I in a gut feeling, I was towing the line the whole time. I'm like, we can let this one slip, but we're hanging in there. And then we got the ball, into the game, had the chance, delay a game. I thought was going to be the nail in the coffin. But then I remember I was like, okay, yeah, why not? We've got Mevis. He's got a leg. Go for it. And if he makes this, he will be remembered forever in Mizzou lore. And I've got a video of it on my phone. It's probably one of my favorite videos I've ever taken. And I'm like, it's got the leg, it's got it. And then I couldn't really tell because I'm way up there in the nosebleeds. I thought it made it, but then I'm really just, the whole stadium erupts and it kind of just travels like a wave up to us. And I lose my mind. And then I'm like jumping up and down, filming it. And I film my dad. And I freaking, dude, he, like I said, doesn't love sports as much as I do. But because I do, he started really caring and he knew how much this game meant. And he's like, ah! It was awesome, dude. I mean, I love that video. And then I stopped it and I was like, wait, we're storming the field. I'm like, we almost stormed the field last year against Georgia, but obviously that didn't go the way we wanted it to.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at my parents. I'm like, this might be the only time I storm the field of Mizzou as a student. I'm like, I have to. And then they're like, okay, that's fine. They're like, where are we going to meet you? I'm like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I was like, meet me at the gates we came in. And then I'm up the nosebleeds. I haul ass down the stairs. I'm in my boots and jeans. I'm not in tennis shoes. And I was late to the party, but I got on the field. I met up with a classmate. Um, I took like 3 videos and probably was like this the whole time, just taking it in. I'm like, oh my god, we just beat K State on a 61 or 3-yard field goal, SEC record. That totally changed the perspective for sure. I mean, I'm like, okay, all right, we might have a good year after all. And then we play what, it was Memphis. Yeah, Memphis
Yeah.
went okay. That defense really started to kick in there a little bit better. And I know the final score was a little closer than, what the game actually felt like. But then that game went fine. We were 4-0 non-con. Looked like a good start. Really started to look pretty solid, I'd say, in Vanderbilt. I was worried that they were coming back a couple times, we talked about that too. But we had control of that game,
Yeah.
and then that was 5-0. Then LSU comes to town. Um, that's the one that got away, man. That
Actually,
that atmosphere, yeah,
before we go too far into that LSU game, because I do want to dive a little bit deeper into that one because that's our one
yeah,
loss. That's our one blemish on our record. I'm going to run down the
yeah,
four, first 5 games really quick.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
kind of like you, first game, we looked really good in the first half. I understand there's a quarterback battle, whatever.
yeah,
Going into the season, actually, I want to rewind a little bit. For me, you said you were on the Brady Cook hype train. I'm not gonna lie, I was not on the Brady Cook hype train. I was ready for Sam Horn to come in. I feel like we
yeah.
saw what Brady Cook was, um, and props to that dude for proving everybody wrong. I'm not. I would have never booed him personally. I don't know if they do that at the game. Was that a thing? Did you guys boo him?
I so and let me well, I'm not going to retract my statement because I do love Brady Cook. I was for whoever was going to get Mizzou dubs.
I agree. I in the
Like,
group chat, I kept putting whoever is quarterback one.
yeah,
That's who I'm going to support. Um,
yeah,
but I was like, I want Sam Horn to be that guy.
yeah. I wanted to
Um,
see a little more what Sam Horn had because we barely saw him last season.
yeah,
And also
same,
like
same.
having a quarterback that's 21 would have kind of been different, kind of cool. But spoken as a true old man who loves all the actual football numbers, so I don't know, going against my own
Yeah,
stance
yeah,
there.
for because I know
But
how you feel
and then
about
also
that.
Garcia too, dude. Like Garcia, I remember they'd post like clips from practice every day. And I was like, dude, he's got zip. And they were like, all
Yeah,
right, cool, he's got zip, but like, can he actually
it,
make an accurate pass?
it was crazy.
So,
Like watching those clips they were posting. And granted, they're like 4 second clips, so you can't really get a good read on the quarterbacks.
right,
It was hard to tell who was the best quarterback. And then going into week
yeah,
one, I mean, we scored points with Brady Cook, but we didn't look offense didn't feel great, And then you
right,
go into quarter two, and it doesn't feel like Sam Horn really threw the ball. So going into game two, I was kind of like that was not a quarterback battle, and then we only win
yeah,
by 4. But I think I don't remember the exact number. I could look it up, but I think we threw like 20 passes or less. So we
yeah,
straight up beat Middle Tennessee just by being bigger, like being more athletic and physical.
yeah,
Um, and then I remember watching the K State game. So you know this, but I helped my brother coach my nephew in football this year. So I got to watch the K State game all the way. So as we are lining up to kick the field goal, I had to walk out the apartment to go to the football game to coach. And I ran down the stairwell because I don't get signal in the elevator. I was like, okay, I gotta
right,
watch this. Um, but I lost signal in the stairwell too. So I get to my car and I turned off do
mhm,
not disturb on my phone because I wanted to see it for myself.
yeah,
And in my head, I'm like, there's no way he's making a 61 yarder like that. The college kickers don't do that.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
he did it. And then I'm in my car like screaming and yelling, driving, dude. I played Mr.
yeah,
Brightside from Lee Summit to Blue Springs. It was like a
yeah,
25-minute drive, like on loop, dude.
yeah,
Mr. Brightside
on
the
repeat.
entire time, dude. I on the way
Yep,
back, I did the same thing. Um, that was nuts. I mean, I think that was I think that Mizzou team that played then is better, or I think our Mizzou team now is better than they were then. But I
oh, for
think that
sure.
game was just
Yeah,
like getting over the hump. You know what I mean? I think
yeah,
it
yeah,
gave the boys confidence, and you can kind of see it.
yeah,
The Memphis
yep.
game, like you said, that weekend was a special weekend for me. I got legally married that weekend. So I told Macy, I was like, we gotta hurry and go get legally married, and then the Mizzou game's on, so we gotta hurry this. I gotta go watch this game. That game, I think the score was closer than the game was. There wasn't a point in that game where I felt like, oh, we might lose this. And then we go to Vandy. I mean, Vandy is Vandy. You know what I mean? I mean, I think they are making, I think they are trajecting upwards. Very slowly though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're doing the things I think they need to do to get a better football team. But I don't think they're super worried
yeah.
about that. But who am I to
Hey, and
say?
you say Vandy's Vandy, but I remember going into that one, and I was like, Vandy feels like a trap game, dude.
It
Because it
it
was literally
was
like deja vu with the Barry Odom team that went down there,
and lost
and we had
after we
just
got
got
ranked.
ranked,
Yeah,
and then we lost, and then we lost. I think 5 in a row. So I was
yeah.
like, God, don't let history repeat itself.
I agree. I
And
remember
then,
that. And then last year when they came to our homecoming and we barely
yeah,
won.
almost right.
Again, that game was also closer than it felt. But anyway, so we win that game,
Yeah,
like you said. It felt like they got themselves back in it, and then Brady Cook just cooked them. You know what I mean? So like
yeah,
again, I think that score was closer than the game actually felt. I think we won by
yeah,
17. I
yeah,
think realistically we should have won by more. But
yeah.
whatever. Game 5, and so now we go to LSU. Okay,
Yeah.
and then
I will say about that Vandy game too. I
I'm
remember
gonna
the group chat freaking out. It's London.
yeah, and then we have yeah. So I remember I had to coach after okay, we'll get into like game details, but at halftime I had to go coach. So I missed the whole third quarter and like half of the fourth quarter. And like I was trying to coach and like watch it at the same time, but then I'm trying to be a good role model, good coach. So couldn't do the
Of
whole
course.
time. But I
Yeah.
remember going to
Mhm.
halftime, we were up. I don't remember the halftime score. I know we were up 22-7 at one point. Was that the halftime score? I don't think that was the halftime score.
Uh, I'd have to look. Yeah, I don't.
But anyways, we're
I
up
think it was
22-7 at one
20,
point.
25-10 or something. Yeah,
You're up 22-7 at one point in general.
yeah,
I
yep,
think you need to close out that game. That game could have very easily went
yeah.
either way. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so now we'll dive into that game just a little bit, and then we'll move on from there. Talk about the future of Mizzou football. But
Yep.
oh, dude, that game had me on my seat, even though technically I
I
wasn't in
know,
the seat.
bro.
I was like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. I'm back and tracking real quick because the Vandy game, it's coming back to me. I know the group chat blew up. I was out. We had trivia night that night for our physical therapy program, and so
Mm.
I was trying to get my Peaky Blinders costume together. So I missed like little bits of the second half, and I kind of knew Brady Cook. I knew after the K State game and after Memphis, I think he did fine. Yeah, because he had that deep bomb to Marquise Johnson. Um,
And this is the Vandy
but
game,
when he had
correct?
that, we're talking about the Vandy, yeah. When
Okay,
he had
yeah.
that touchdown pass to Burden, the over the shoulder, just
Oh,
dime
so
in a
pretty, bro.
bucket.
So pretty,
I'm
dude.
like,
Oh
okay,
my
that's a different
lord.
Brady Cook, dude. I'm like that is not last year Brady Cook.
Dude, his I mean,
So,
and I remember that game in particular. His placement of the ball, especially over the
mhm,
shoulder, and like most of
yeah,
the time it was kind of like the corner of the end zone area. Oh
yeah,
my, you
yeah.
couldn't have asked for a better placement, dude. It was
No, I know.
perfect. We didn't see that
Yeah,
last year. We didn't see that
no,
last year.
I know. So, right.
I remember
So,
watching
yeah, I
that.
just want to point that out because, yeah,
No, yeah, I'm glad you did because those throws were so beautiful, and he did it against Kentucky again. Or I guess we're not
yep,
quite to Kentucky game, but we'll just get to the
right.
LSU game and we'll go through it really quick. We ended up losing that
Okay, yeah,
game. I think it was
yep.
10 or 11 points. I think it was 11, but I could
It
be
was it
wrong.
was a 3 point game. We're marching down the field. I think we were in LSU territory, 2nd and 1. And dude,
Mm,
it's gonna haunt me at least the rest of the season, unless we win the Natty, which then all of our demons are exercised.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, it was 2nd and 1. I think we're at their 40 or mid 30 or something. I'm like, okay, the way this game is going. Also, shout out to Cody Schrader for just taking the SEC by storm. Fucking, sorry,
That dude's a
Truman.
dog, dude.
Truman transfer comes to from D2. Now he's taking over the SEC. I mean, he's had a hell of a year too. We've been talking about Cook, who deserves his credit as well. But
Yes, he does.
Schrader, it's a good backfield. Um, but yeah, so I'm like, all right, run the ball. We're gonna get a first down. I don't remember how much time was left, but I think maybe under 2 minutes. And I'm like, we're just gonna run down the clock, and we are at least gonna tie it. If not, get a touchdown. Game over.
Mhm.
And then we don't run the ball. Incomplete. 2nd and 1 turns to 3rd and 1. I think false start then 3rd and 6. Then a high snap, and then it was game over. And so it should have been a 3 point game. That 10 points is misleading because then we get the ball back in desperation. I think we got a three and out.
That last
Used
pick,
all three of our timeouts. Yeah,
yeah, that
it
last
was
pick Brady
desperation. It was
threw.
a pick
Yeah, I mean,
six.
you have to throw it. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So yeah, that game
yeah.
is definitely I
Backbreaker
think
then,
that's a
dude.
game you should win, but LSU's
Yeah,
offense is insane. LSU could very
yeah,
well win the SEC West. They have 2 losses right now,
for
so they
sure.
kind of have to win out.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
curious to see how they play against Bama. That'd be a good
yeah, I'm
game.
too. I'm excited for that game. We have some
Yep.
good SEC football this weekend actually, but
Yeah.
So we lose that game. Unfortunate. Most people at this point in time, the start of the season, if I would have told you Mizzou was 5-1,
Oh, I know,
start the
dude.
season,
Yeah,
I had us losing to K State. I had us, or actually, I kind of had us. K State was one I felt kind of good about, but I didn't know a lot about K State. They lost some guys to the draft, but
right.
a lot of people had us 4-2.
Yep.
It was one of those things. Then we go to Kentucky. Kentucky was after LSU, correct?
Yeah. Hey, and that was a hell of a bounce back too. I mean,
Because
while we're
we
still on
we're in
LSU,
Cancun. We're in Cancun. We
we're in
can't watch the
Cancun. You're
game.
getting
We can't watch
married.
the game.
Nope,
Yes.
at all. Just refreshing ESPN the whole time. Like, come on, come on, come
Yeah,
on, come on, come
dude,
on.
we're at dinner. We're like,
And the
Mizzou
group chat.
scored. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching. I
um,
remember watching it on my phone,
yeah.
and it's 14-0, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me right now.
Crap.
Because Kentucky
Yeah.
is one I really wanted personally, just because like last year, like
They've had our number, dude. Except
so
for
there's one
COVID, they've had our number.
that I really wanted that one. So being down 14-0 after the
Yep.
season we've had so far, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah. It's back
happened?
to same old Mizzou. That's how it felt.
It did
Genuinely.
have
I
because
was
I
at
was
I was at the bar with Christian. I was waiting for everybody for dinner. I was like, "How's Mizzou doing?" He was like, "Well," and then shows me his phone, and I'm like, "Damn,
yeah, dude. It was
we're
just like,
back, man. We're
granted, we
back."
were only watching the box score, so like just seeing the stats, it was like, wow, we
Right.
can't do
Yeah. You
nothing.
don't know what's going on. Yeah.
And then things turned around really quick,
Hmm.
really quick. Once Mizzou took over, Kentucky could do nothing. I mean, they scored.
Yep.
They were up 14-0. They scored one touchdown after that. We scored 38 points. So
Yeah.
we
We
go
went
on
off.
steamroll. I think it was their homecoming as well. So that was
It was
awesome.
their homecoming. Yep.
Yeah, that
They
was
all
awesome.
left the stands by like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like
Yeah, I saw
empty
that.
stadium, just Mizzou fans. I'm like, damn.
That felt so
That was
good, dude.
awesome. Yeah.
Um, and then after that, so we win. We smoke them in Lexington,
Yep.
which is even better, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, get revenge for that bullshit game last year. Um,
Yep.
and then we play South Carolina homecoming game.
Yep.
Okay, realistically, going to that game, I know their record isn't great, and I know we've kind of had their number. But going into that game, were you nervous at all?
Yeah, because and I started listening to that podcast, the Mizzou That's Who podcast. Well, shout out to those guys.
Yeah, a little shout out.
Um, they were saying that we had just reversed the jinx, or not the jinx. We'd righted the wrong of losing to Kentucky all these years in a row. Don't let South Carolina do that to us because we'd
Yeah,
had their number for the last 4 years. And I was like, damn, I'm like, now that you said that, I was like, yeah, that could be every week feels like the very next progression of, well, that would be a total Mizzou thing to do. Like we're doing
yeah,
better and better. They're just building their hopes up and up and up and up until it's like, yeah, of course we lose to South Carolina after beating Kentucky. So yeah, I felt confident about it. Definitely a little more than I do this upcoming game against Georgia. But I mean, of course, I'm a Mizzou fan. I'm used to heartbreak and disappointment, and I was like, yeah, I could see either happening. Like we're going to take care of business, or we're going to find an epically horrible way to lose it. Luckily, that didn't happen. A little backtrack to the Kentucky game too. We didn't get to watch it, obviously, but
yeah.
when I saw that punt return, or not fake punt, touchdown to from Luke Bauer to Marquise Johnson, I think,
Yep, yep.
dude,
Exactly.
the balls on Drinkwitz to call that down
I
14-0. You
know,
were
dude.
getting dominated. If that doesn't go your way, not saying we lose the game because I mean the defense finally figured it out, was making stops. We probably still had a chance, but man, that's a momentum shifter. And
Oh,
the
100%.
fact that he called that and it worked, and Kentucky knew it was a fake punt. They were not in punt uh, formation, and it didn't even matter. Like Luke Bowers just like screw it, Marquise down there somewhere, and
Well,
throws a bomb. Oh, yeah,
it's funny that like he cut. So like when I think about this play, right,
yeah,
the likeliness of him to catch it is low, right? But the likeliness of him to
yeah,
catch it and score is even lower.
right,
And if
right,
he fucking did, a freshman and a punter
yep,
made it happen, they got
yep,
Mizzou fired up. They got ready to go.
yep,
Yeah, the defense
yep.
really turned it on after that point, man.
I thought it was OPI too, man. Like I'm watching that video, and then there was this whole thing, and I went because you know me, and I'm anal about the rules. I want to win by the letter of the game. I don't want to get away with bad ref calls, yada yada yada. I
Mhm.
want to win fair and square. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, God, it would just get away with a push off. And then I don't know. Apparently, OPI does not exist on punt
That's
on
what I
fake
heard.
punts.
I don't know
according to
exactly.
Twitter. I don't know if that's true or not,
Yeah.
but I mean, dude, this is where my OCD kicks in. I watched that play probably 100 times, and I'd like freeze it and like try and see if he got full arm extension.
I
I
don't think he
don't think he
did.
actually did. I don't think
Yeah, I
he
don't
did.
think he
I
did
think it
either.
looks like it. It 100% looks like it, but I think he was able to readjust and kind of just shoot back. Um, I don't know. I think he just was able to twist his body just in the right way to grab it. So I don't know. I'm telling myself that as a Mizzou fan, but hell of a play either way. Um, you're giving up a what 30 some yard fake punt touchdown as Kentucky. So even if that is OPI, you still have a 14-point lead. Well, 7 point after that touchdown. You still had your home crowd. There's no excuses to lose that game. So, but that was totally what kickstarted the comeback. And Cody Schrader had a good game that week. Brady Cook had another touchdown to Theo Weiss, who, dude, talk about another stud who's gone off. I was kind of, I mean, I didn't really know about him coming out of Oklahoma, but he has done more than his fair share to contribute to the team's success this year. So
Yeah,
that was
dude.
just a great game. That was awesome.
Our our team is like I feel like it's all coming together, but we have players that are like shining.
Yep,
That's not Luther
for
Burden
sure.
every game, which is awesome.
Yep, yep,
Because a lot of the people, at least on Twitter, were saying like, they just chuck it up to Luther Burden. Like, no, we just have players that make plays that
right,
aren't him. Like, we don't have to force him the
yep,
ball. That Luther's just
right,
different and he makes plays,
yep,
but we have other guys that will make plays. Like, it's not all on Luther, and it feels really good. Um, but then after Kentucky, going
yep.
into Carolina,
That's
I
South
was
Carolina.
kind of worried just a
Yep,
little bit. You know what I mean? Any SEC
yep,
game, I'm worried because you never know. It feels like you never know, and if
right,
and it just part of me is like scared that like Mizzou's going to go back to where they were.
right.
You know what I mean? And every week they keep proving me wrong,
Yep.
and it feels so good, right?
I know, dude.
Um,
I know.
so and Spencer Rattler. So when he was at Oklahoma, I didn't think he was good. Last year, I didn't think he was good, but this year
Right.
he truly has been. He's been good. His
Hmm.
their team is terrible. He is carrying them.
Yeah.
He is carrying
Yep.
them, and so like I was a little worried. I was like Mizzou's pass defense. I know Chris Abrams' Drame. He's balling out. I know our secondary's kind of been suspect a little bit as well this year. So part of me was like, got to be careful.
Yep.
Didn't matter. We shit on them. You know what I
Yep.
mean? They suck. Like after
Yeah.
that game, like
That
the game
first
probably
half was awesome,
suck.
dude. It
Yeah, it
was
was.
homecoming. I had gone out on clinical the week before, so I came back, saw some PT buddies, saw some buddies from undergrad, and had a little bit to drink. So the memory's not
It's
quite as
homecoming.
it's homecoming. You got to celebrate. You got to see your buddies and all that.
Yeah.
But I remember that first touchdown to Luther Burden. I was losing it. I'm like, dude, what a
Oh
grab, what an
yeah.
adjustment. And then Schrader scores after him. I remember Cook because I was on the hill. I've sat on the hill every game. Um, I remember Cook running in the end zone, and it was what 24-0, I think, before South Carolina got into it at all. I think it was
I don't remember exactly.
at
I
least
think you're right.
21-0.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
at
we
least
were
21 now. I
dominating,
can't
and
remember.
I know, and again, I've had to go watch the highlights and all that to refresh my memory. But I know we kind of played a down third quarter, and that's kind of been our Achilles heel all season. But we dominated that game. I don't really ever remember feeling like, oh crap, we might actually lose this. So it was
No,
definitely a good way to go into the bye week, and
yeah.
then now we got Georgia coming up.
Yeah, so yeah, that was a perfect way to end the bye week. I thought the game, I was confident we were gonna win. I didn't know the score. In my head, I mean, now that we do the show, we'll give our score predictions. But I try to do a little score prediction in my head, and that was one that like it was kind of hard to tell for me. Because like you said, we've had their number. Don't let it
Right,
be the year where they have our number. Spencer Rattler was
right,
having a good year. And it's hard. Some of these other SEC teams, it's hard. It's kind of hard to gauge where everyone is right now. I mean, because
yep,
Kentucky started 5-0, they've lost three straight since. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to gauge where these teams are. So
yep,
and then South Carolina played Georgia close for a little bit. So I was like, okay, how good is this team? I was a little bit worried. We go in, we do our thing.
yep,
We put them to bed. By halftime, game was already over. That was a perfect way to go into the bye week. I agree. You win
yep.
homecoming. We won by 22 points. I think that's right.
Point two, yeah, 34-12, yeah,
Yep. And then you get a week to rest. I think it was important. I think Luther, especially that South Carolina game, he got taken out a couple times. He was grabbing a shoulder at one point. Um,
hmm,
so I think having that extra week to rest.
yep.
I mean, the
Everybody's
extra week
healthy.
of
I think I saw a tweet today. Um,
Drinkwood said everyone's
only
healthy, I
one
think,
that
besides one.
Chad Bailey. Yeah,
Yep.
I think he's the only one that. Yeah,
But
but
the extra
hey,
week of
before we get to the
preparation is
Georgia
great.
game too,
Mhm.
we should talk uniforms. Favorite uniform so far? What we want to see?
Okay, you're not gonna like this. Okay, give me your favorite home uniform. I mean, granted, I think we've only had 2 away games, so I guess
They haven't switched it up much. The only like switch they've done, well, except for the block ham. Finally,
it looks good. It
they
looks
tried the
good.
new, dude. That's a top
What's your
three on the
favorite?
year, I think.
Give me your
Yeah.
favorite. Your number one favorite that we've done so far.
Okay. Well,
We have very
the all
different
black.
jersey tastes. We have very different tastes. So this is gonna be
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, okay. So we got to mention last year's too, because they tried to bring out the Tiger Scripts helmet, which at the time I'm like,
It was
ah,
all
that's
right.
kind of cool. It's kind of
I
like what
wasn't
the
the biggest
Gators
fan of the
do.
Tiger script.
They overdid it 100%, and then they did different color combos with that. And I think one week they did white with yellow Tiger Script. You couldn't even read it, especially on TV. And like, all right, that no, you guys get. And then they haven't brought it back at all this year.
Yeah.
Um, I love the new uniforms too. Like a more, well, I guess they're not new anymore. Last couple of years. And also Mizzou across the chest. We talked about this too. I think that's more of a baseball and basketball thing. I think football jerseys, you kind of tell the team by the logo. It looks better if it's a little bit smaller font. Like the Chase Daniel teams, they had Mizzou on there, but it was smaller. I don't know. I don't think it needs to be giant across the chest like a basketball jersey. But I think ours looks good. I think they showed a picture of Brady Cook earlier on the post for the CFP rankings. There's way too much going on in his jersey. Like there's his number. There's giant Mizzou. He's got his captain's patch. He's got the SEC graduate patch. I think that's kind of funny. But back to the Mizzou uniforms this season, I would say, I mean, the all black is classic, what they were to start the season.
Mhm.
But I really like that combo they had for homecoming. The gold helmet with the M. It's a little
That's nice.
different. It's not the inverse with the black and the gold M, but I like that a lot. And then with their gold jerseys, I think it's interesting how they do the stripes because they do the gold main stripe even with the gold jersey, which I think is a little maybe too much gold, not like a black stripe on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Um, I'd be curious to see just how that would look as an alternate, but it still looks good. And then, and I also think it's my other hot take for the uniforms. I think the pant stripes are a little too wide because I think I'll look at those and the white on those pant stripes. They because like you look at the helmet stripes and you look at the shoulder stripes, they're not that wide. And you look at like teams across the NFL and all that. It feels like it's taking up a third of the leg, and I feel like there's a little too much. You just got like just shrink it just a little bit. I think it would look a little better. But top three uniform combos, I would say homecoming. I would say they had a good look in Memphis too in the dome. They were going black, yellow, black.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for them to go black, black, yellow, gold pants. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a more classic look. So those two, and then what else have they done? I'm okay with those new gold helmets, but I wouldn't say that's my favorite look yet. For K State or for Vanderbilt, yeah, probably okay. So Memphis game, South Carolina game, and then all black. I think
Okay.
that's my top three.
Okay. So my
We look
top
good in the
one.
ways too, but yeah,
We've only had 2. We've only had 2 away games,
yeah,
so it's kind of hard.
yeah,
So I'll
yeah,
go with my top 3, excluding the away games. Um, my number one is the LSU game.
yeah.
A lot of people didn't like the all white pants.
It
I
looked
thought it
good.
was.
Yeah, no,
It looked
right.
so good, dude. The black helmet, the black jersey, and the black or the all white pants with nothing on them. It was
Yeah,
different, and I loved it. I loved it.
it actually did look okay. Yeah, it aged on me for sure.
And then I would say my second one was, yeah, homecoming, block in, bringing it back.
Yeah,
I hope. Well, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I hope for the Tennessee game, um, since we're going to it, I hope they wear all black with a block M, the black helmet with
dude.
like a white or
Yes,
yellow block M. That'd
yes,
be sweet.
yeah,
And then my
yeah.
third one would yeah. I mean, you can't. I think unbiased, unbiased. I think Mizzou has top 5 college uniforms. I mean, I say this outside of here, but I'll say it now. Put it on the record. I think Mizzou is the Oregon of the SEC as far as uniforms.
Yeah, I mean, variety-wise, for sure. I know Ole Miss switches it up a little bit, and there's
I
nothing wrong
just
with the classics either. But we're
no,
on the other side of that argument with the NFL because we love the Chiefs,
yeah,
and I'd like an alternate. Like personally, I would love an alternate black jersey, just jersey, to go with the red helmet, red pants. I think it would look beautiful. But there's something to be said for a classic uniform like Bama, Georgia. they got what they got, and it works.
Yeah, it does work. It
So,
does work. I think
but variety is
Mizzou
nice too.
Mizzou just
So,
does it really well. I mean, the color scheme, it's hard to mess up that color scheme, the black and gold. But I think my third is definitely all black. I love our all black unis. Um,
yeah,
I just think our uniforms, like every game we watch, I just don't. There hasn't been a team where I'm like their uniforms are cooler than ours. I mean, but those are probably my three. So LSU, homecoming, the All Blacks
yeah.
is probably where I would
What
go.
do you
I
want for
really like.
Georgia?
Whoa, Georgia, give me a. We haven't done all whites, have we?
No, but they're talking about that in the group chat, and honestly, I think they need to do the block M a few more times this year,
Give me all
and I
white with a
think
white helmet and a
Georgia
black
would be
block
dope.
M.
Yep,
White helmet,
yep,
black block M. Give me all whites. I think you go in there, and I know some people don't believe this. A little backstory and why I believe it. I'll just be really quick. So I played basketball growing up, and my mom would,
yep.
if for our home games we had to dress up. My mom would, she would like iron my clothes the night before my game. She'd hang it up, and she put a little note, and the note was always like something nice, but it always ended with "look good, feel good, play good" every time.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'd go, I'd
oh
put it
yeah,
on in the
baby.
morning. I'd feel good.
That's that Dion
Wear all
saying.
whites, look good, feel good, play good. Give the boys a little extra. I think they have enough, but it
Yeah,
doesn't hurt to give a little bit more.
yeah,
But I think all whites would
yeah,
be cool. I mean, if you do all whites and a black helmet, that would be cool. I don't really want to see another
yeah.
gold helmet right now. Not
Right.
saying I
I
don't
think you got to
ever,
hold
but
on that. Yeah,
black or white helmet. I mean, if you want black pants,
yep,
that's fine. To be honest with you, I'd be okay with black pants,
yep,
black helmet,
yep,
black pants. But I think I would like because this is our biggest game of the year.
yep,
It's an away game. I think you have to
yep,
make because our other away game is Arkansas.
yep.
So it's got to be the coolest
It's
away.
either got to be white out or it's got to be black helmet, white, black pants. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
think
I'd be
there's
okay
any
with either
other.
one. I kind of want white out
Yeah,
just because it's our biggest game. But what are you feeling?
yeah.
What do you want? Same thing.
I want the same thing with the block M.
I'd be
Yeah,
okay with just the oval tiger as well with
or the
a white
tiger.
or black helmet.
Yeah,
I'm okay with either of those. I don't want script. I don't think they're rocking script this year though.
no.
A block
When they
M, I think.
rocked the white helmet against Middle Tennessee, that was a good look too. The white helmet with the all black.
Yeah,
That was a sleeper. That was pretty good too.
yeah.
But
That's kind of what I'm thinking. But we're gonna jump right into this. Give me just quick initial thoughts going into Georgia. Just real quick. How are you feeling?
dude, it's gonna change more and more as we get closer to Saturday. But I think coming right off of homecoming, well, very briefly when it was 22-7 against LSU, I'm like, we're winning the Natty. Like I was all the way up on the college football mountaintop. I've come down. I've come down, obviously.
Yeah.
But then back up with Kentucky, back up with South Carolina. I think we got a fighting chance, dude. I mean, we had an inferior team last year. Granted, it was in Columbia with a packed atmosphere. That was the best atmosphere at that time that I think I'd seen for a Mizzou football game as a
Mhm.
student. And we were so close to storming the field that year. But we took them to the fourth quarter last year with an inferior team. I think we're better now. We have our offense more figured out. Our defense, people were saying it's not as good as last year, but I think it's just as good. And they also talked about that on Mizzou. That's who. I think
Mhm.
because the stats are actually similar. I don't know. I think we were giving up more points earlier in the year, and so people were worried. But I think we're a complete team. Obviously, Georgia's Georgia, two-time back-to-back defending national champs. They're without Brock Bowers, but that didn't matter against Florida last week. I was listening to that podcast today. They were saying get to the fourth quarter. I think we can do that. I think we definitely cover. I think it's 17 right now is the spread. I think,
I
but
will actually look that up really quick.
yeah,
The spread for the Georgia game is this is on ESPN, so this
yeah,
I don't know who they use as far as their they use Caesars Sportsbook. They have
yeah.
Georgia at 15.5 point favorites.
Okay. I Yeah, the the devil on my shoulder and the angel on my shoulder. One saying we definitely cover, we got a fighting chance. The other's like, nah, typical Mizzou. We'll probably get blown out. But I'm leaning more towards I think it's going to be a good competitive game. Um, I don't. I think Florida's a little overrated, dude. Like everybody's like, oh, and that's a rivalry game too for Georgia. But I think uh, I think we got a fighting chance. So it is in Athens. It's going to be tough. I think we have a better chance with it being at 2:30 than we would if it was prime time at night. I guess
Mhm.
2:30 is prime time, but if it was a night game, um, I don't know why, but I just feel like that's a better time slot for us down there. Um, yeah, I'm just ready for Saturday. I wanted to get here. I want to know one way or the other where we stand in the college football echelon. And I think we got to. I mean, you got to play a damn good game. You can't make many mistakes. You can't do what you did against LSU. Um, and if you do get a lead like you did then, you can't take your foot off the gas. So we'll just see, I guess.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think you're right. They don't have Brock Bowers, and our team is better this year. And I don't know if their team is as good as they were last year. This year, I know they lost some people to the draft. Uh,
Yeah,
Carson Beck isn't as
they always
mobile, but
do.
I think Carson Beck is a
Right.
better thrower than Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Brock
I
Bowers is
really haven't
hurt.
watched many Georgia games this year, so I need to watch some tape before Saturday.
It comes down to this for me, at least from what I've taken away. The two games where everyone was like Georgia could lose this game was Kentucky and Florida. Kentucky
Yep.
was undefeated, and in my head,
Yep.
I guess I could kind of see it, but not really because
Right.
Devin Leary hasn't proved to be a quarterback. You're not going to beat Georgia without a quarterback. You know what I mean? So going to
Right.
that game, like I thought it was going to be closer than it was, to be fair, but I figured
Yep.
Georgia was going to win. I thought two scores, and it was way more than two
Right.
scores. And then going into the Florida game, I don't understand the hype over Florida. Some people were like, it's going to be close. I thought they were overrated. I mean, they
Yep.
got destroyed by Kentucky. Yeah, they beat Tennessee. Tennessee's one of those weird teams. We'll get to them next week. Um, but like Florida has not done anything where I was like they could beat Bama or Georgia. Absolutely not. So like again, I kind of mentally did a score prediction in my head, and I had Florida getting blown out because I mean I was predicting that game just because we played them the week after. So in my head, I was like, Florida's not going to win this game. There's no close. But I will say, I turned that game on because I was like, we play them next week. Let's just see how it does, how it goes. Florida scored on the first drive. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I was
Yep.
wrong. Yeah, absolutely not. Florida got blown out, just like I thought. So going into this game, there's a few things that I have thought of, and I think about this game way like an unhealthy amount. Um, Georgia is Georgia. This is their homecoming game, which
Yep.
makes me feel a little bit worse, to be honest with you. They haven't played like anybody. South Carolina kept it
Right.
close for a little bit.
Right.
They barely beat Auburn. Granted, Auburn
Yep.
they were at Auburn, and Auburn is that place is always jumping. You know what I mean? And I mean they're not
Yep.
that great this year, and it was still packed. Um,
Yep.
so those two games, and I mean South Carolina game was close at halftime. I mean Georgia kind of pulled away after that, but even being in that game, the South Carolina team that we know now gives
Yep.
me some hope. Um,
Yep.
but the problem is it's Georgia. Now they don't have to force feed Brock Bowers, and we kind of saw them spread the ball around last week. Their backup's backup is a 5-star recruit. You know what I mean?
Including
Uh,
Dom Lovett, which that's another reason why I want to beat him, dude.
I would
I
like to
want
beat
him
him
to
for
regret
Dom.
regret leaving.
I agree. I agree with that. But their depth, they have so much depth, and I just feel. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
clearly, we don't have as much. That's a
Right.
given. You know what I mean? That's pretty obvious. I mean, we're
Right.
15.5 point underdogs. Nobody's going to pick us to win. I'm confident in my score prediction, which we'll get to right after we're done talking Georgia. Just for when I don't have us winning.
Yeah.
I either kind of like you said, I think we can keep it close. I just think it depends. I think everyone kind of says this every game. Like Kentucky, we didn't start out quick. I think it was important to do that. But I think this game, you have to start fast. You don't have
Yep.
time to
Yep.
be obsolete, nothing on offense or defense. You have to start it quick and you have to hold it there. Because Georgia is not gonna let up. Um,
Right.
I don't know. Out as this game is where it's the number two team in the country. In my book,
Yeah,
the
and
number
that dude, they
one.
may. I mean, because they were number one until tonight,
Yeah,
and maybe that puts a little more chip on their shoulder. Like, oh,
that's what I'm
okay, you
saying.
don't think we're good enough, huh?
I
So
think,
I that did worry me a little bit, but
but I do think, yeah, they're like we're not number one. We have to play hard. But I think it also, I think for Mizzou, uh, they just have the bigger chip on their shoulder. I feel like because they've been doubted all season. They haven't played nobody. People are always
right,
picking us to lose in these games. which is whatever. Mizzou always finds a way to Mizzou it. You know what I mean? But this year
Yeah.
they're proving all of that wrong. So nobody's going to pick us to
They
win.
got
We're
something to
16
prove, man.
something
They
to
got
prove.
something to prove.
We're 16-point underdogs. We're Georgia's homecoming.
Yeah.
People are going to trash us all week that we can't beat them. Like there might, you might get a couple people who might be close. You might have one or two people who say we're going to win. Um, if we win, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm
Right.
going to be even more surprised if we don't win. Um,
Yep.
I think you just keep it close,
Yep.
and if I think we are the toughest game. Some people think it's Ole Miss. I don't really know Ole
That would
Miss
be a
yet.
good game too. I
I
think
agree.
everybody's saying if they beat us, they're going undefeated. I don't think so. They still got to play Tennessee. They still got to play Ole Miss.
I think. Well, I mean, we're definitely going to be Georgia's hardest game that they've
Yeah.
played this season.
Yeah.
I think as well, trying to be unbiased, I think we're going to be the toughest game they're going to play all season. I mean, until like the
Yeah.
college football playoffs,
Right.
if they do get there, which they
Hmm.
probably will, but you never know. You know what I mean? Mizzou comes in there
Hey, you never
Saturday,
know.
we might disrupt it a little bit, go there ourselves. Atlanta, the
Yep.
dream is Atlanta. So that's kind of how I feel about Georgia. I'm nervous.
Yep.
Everyone's counting us out, so it's not like I'm scared. I'm a little nervous. What
Yep.
Mizzou team do we get? Do we get the 7-1 Mizzou
Right.
Tigers we got this year?
Yep.
Or the lights too bright? I don't think the lights are too bright. I think we have some dogs on our team. I think they're ready to show people. I think they're ready to show. They have something to prove this weekend.
Yep.
Um, I think Drinkwitz has taken. I've always been a fan of Drinkwitz. Some people don't like him. I've always been a fan of him personally.
Yep.
He's had a few mistakes this year, of course, but he's taken some steps forward as well as a coach and as a
Yep.
leader. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this game. Biggest game Mizzou's had in a long, 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 long time.
It really
Um,
is. Yeah.
so I'm excited.
I know. I know that we can't get behind two scores.
Yeah.
Um, you can't get behind two scores. You can't take a quarter off like we did against South Carolina.
Nope.
Um,
Even if Georgia takes
I
a
mean,
quarter off, we still can't.
we can't at all. No, I
No.
know because
You
they'll
have to
be
play your
back
best
there just like
football.
that.
Mizzou has
It's
to
got to
play
be
the
their
best
best game
football
so far this year.
for 60 minutes. Best football for 60
Yep.
minutes. That's how you win this game.
Yep.
No
Yep.
turnovers, no stupid penalties. They've cleaned up penalties every week. They're getting a little bit better. Continue to
Yep.
clean those up. Don't make any stupid turnovers. And
Yep.
you have a shot.
Yep.
Because Georgia's not going to do that. They're not going to make
Nope.
stupid mistakes. They're not going to.
Honestly, dude, I don't know if they'll lean into it because because now we do have a good pass game. But the thought just came to mind: do we try and pull a Denver Broncos on Sunday and just control the damn clock? Because we got Cody Schrader. Our line's been pretty damn solid. Like obviously,
I
throw in some play action when you can and the passing game. But do we just run the hell out of Cody Schrader and Nate Pete? I don't know.
if there. Okay, so this is I'm actually glad you brought that up. I think our our guys in the trenches, so our O line and our D line, I think they are also the most physical O line and D line that they're going to have faced this season.
Right.
So it could be a little bit. It could stun Georgia a little bit. I doubt it, because they have some meaty dudes up there.
Yep.
Um, we're physical, you know what I mean? Actually, today I saw a video. I didn't see it last year, but I saw a video today of Robinson.
I saw that
Like,
too from
yeah,
last
you saw
year.
that? Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they were ready, man, and
They
they
didn't take no
proved
shit. Yep.
no, and our D line is huge too.
Yep.
They're big boys. And our O
Yep.
line has, they've impressed me quite a bit this year. Last year that was a weak point, and this year it feels like a strength that we have. I think I think this game will come down to the trenches, and I think Georgia's favored, but I think Mizzou has a shot. Um, but I think if you can keep the ball away from their offense with running the ball or however, 10, 12, 15 play drives that take 6, 7 minutes, I think that's how you win the game. If
Yep.
um, if it's a high scoring game, I don't like us in the high scoring game with Georgia. If it's lower scoring, we're
Right.
keeping them out of the end zone. We have the
Right.
thicker kicker. I think that gives us a better opportunity to pull out a win.
I just want
Personally,
Saturday to be here, man.
I know I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm
We're
ready.
gonna
I'm
watch
ready.
we're gonna watch the game together. But
Yep.
before we move on from this Georgia football game, give me
Yep.
your score prediction for Saturday.
Okay. I'm gonna preface it with I know we're not gonna blow them out. A
Oh,
blowout by Georgia is possible, but I think that is the third least likely outcome. I think the second most likely is a close Mizzou win, and I think the most likely is probably a close Georgia win. But with all that being said, I'm going to be an optimist because I've been one since I came out the womb, and I'm going to say 27-24, your Missouri Tigers.
Oh man, you're gonna make me look like an asshole. I love it. I'm glad you're the optimistic one. I'm also like I'm confident to a certain point. At some point though, this Georgia team has just gotten better week in and week out. Things are starting to click. Um, and I don't know yet. It's kind of an unknown for me. So you have a 3-point Missouri victory win. You have them under their over under line is 54.5 points. So you have them under 54.5 points. You're at 51. I am going to go Georgia 38, Mizzou 27. So we're gonna cover, but we lose by
That's
11.
fair.
That's what I got,
That's fair.
and we're gonna
That's
go
fair.
over. Now realistically, that's my brain talking. My heart is telling me Mizzou's gonna go in there and whoop that ass. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you know
I may
what?
revise it too, man. Honestly, I mean, I'd be surprised if we only score 3 touchdowns because that would be what my score was, unless we miss a PAT, I guess. So it may be more like 31-28 or something. But
Okay, so I'm gonna go over their last 3 games really quick, okay? And I will say one of these games gives me hope, okay? Um, they beat Kentucky 51-13, so they won by 38. We won by
right.
17. They were a
Was
home
that at
game.
Kentucky or was it Georgia?
It was in Athens. It was in Georgia.
It was okay. Yeah.
So it was a night game in Athens. You
Yeah.
know, we go a night game to Kentucky on their homecoming. We win by 17, and it's not 38, but still, you know,
Right.
3-score victory. They play Vandy in Vandy at Vandy.
Mhm.
They win
Won by the same
37-20.
amount we did. Yep.
Same amount. Same amount.
Yep.
So that game gives me hope a little bit because Vandy put up 20 on them
Right.
somehow.
Yep.
And then Florida puts up 20. They lose 43-20. Um, I feel as if we should put up more than 20. Um,
Yep.
but I think Kirby Smart is going to tell the Georgia players, no one's going to think we're going to win. They think we're not good. Mizzou's going to come in and beat us, and then they're going to be fired up. I don't know. I think whoever gets punched in the mouth first and how they recover is who's going to win this game. Um, hopefully, we just punch them hard in the mouth and they punch us, realistically, which would be awesome. So you have 27-24, our Missouri Tigers. I have 38-27. Them dogs, unfortunately. If it was tomorrow, maybe it would be 37-28 Mizzou. Changes every day. But with that being said, I just want to touch on this next topic just a little bit. It's not quite there, but it's right around the corner. Mizzou basketball. Um, I know I'm a little bit bigger of a basketball fan, but it's Mizzou at the end of the day.
Yep.
Last year was wonderful, dude. Oh man, it feels like Mizzou sports are getting back to where they were when we were little.
When we were kids. I
Yeah,
know, dude.
what
We
made us
went
fans.
through freaking purgatory and hell for so long, and
It feels
it's finally getting back to the sweet spot.
yes, and it feels really really good. I'm excited for this Mizzou team. Again, a lot of question marks
Yep.
on that team because our team is going to look completely different.
Right.
But I'm excited. I was listening to actually the Mizzou That 2 podcast with Coach Sticky Nut on there, and he was talking
Yep.
about how Dennis Gates went to go get people who could shoot the basketball. And last year, it felt like there were games that we didn't shoot very well, and it didn't feel like we shot the three very well.
And we
At
didn't
least,
rebound at all.
yeah, and at least consistently, it didn't feel like we shot very well. So I'm excited to see the shooters that we got on our team. We have some height on our team. Um, I cannot wait for Mizzou basketball personally.
Yeah.
I think our first game is actually, I'll tell you
A
right
week from
now.
now, right?
I
I
think it
think.
is a week from now.
I haven't looked at the schedule yet, honestly.
I mean, and our non-conference schedule is going to be much more entertaining than it was last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna Seton Hall comes to Kansas City. I think I'm going to that game, or at least that's the plan. Mizzou's first game is we play November 6th, which is a week from today.
From
No,
Monday.
it's next Monday, and we play
Yeah.
Arkansas Pine
Yeah.
Bluff. Tickets are $2 if you're in Columbia and want to go. $2. Should definitely go. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm curious to see how this team operates. Kobe Brown gets drafted in the first round, so we're definitely
Yep.
missing a big piece. But
Got
I
his
do
first
think
bucket 2 nights ago, I think, for the Clippers.
Yeah, I'm not sure to be honest with you. I didn't. I'm a Suns fan, so I kind of fucking hate the Clippers.
I do
Uh,
too. I'm not a big Clippers guy, but I mean it's Kobe Bryant's team now, so
yeah,
I
let's
got a
go
reason
down.
to root for
100%. I'm definitely rooting for Kobe, not the Clippers. They can lose every game, but Kobe should drop 30.
him.
But
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think this team is going to be deeper. We're
It's
gonna
just
have
gonna be
more role
different.
players. We're gonna have more role
Yeah.
players. I feel like last
Yep.
year we had superstar
Yep.
and some other stars around him, but I feel like this year
Hmm.
we may not have that one superstar, but we're gonna have just like a bunch of players who can ball. Um,
Yep.
Curious to see how it all comes together. I'm excited. How are you feeling going into this year? I think they projected us at ninth in the SEC. They have us predicted ninth.
They never learn, man.
I
They
feel
never
some type
learn.
of way about that.
Yeah.
Dennis Gates is the truth. I don't care what anybody has to say. Um,
Yep.
I do want to see. I think they put Mizzou as far as so AP preseason top 25. They have
They
us
put us at
at
10 last year, right? I think they put us at
uh
10 last year.
yeah, something like that. They only moved us up to
Yeah.
one, two. Mizzou's getting 6 votes in the rankings going into the season, which is better than what we were
Okay.
last year. And you know
Right. By a long
we're
shot.
missing some key
Yeah.
pieces, of course. So whatever, 6 votes
Yeah.
is 6 votes. And again, basketball is a little something to prove.
Yep.
But I'm
Yep.
excited, man. Basketball felt really
I
fun to
feel
watch.
yeah. I feel I mean, I don't think it's not the same intensity of hype as I had for going into football this year.
Yeah,
But I mean, just a brief recap of last year, we won our first NCAA tournament game since we were I don't even know what was it last year we won 2011 or something. First NCAA tournament win in a decade. So
yeah, it
that
was a
felt
long
pretty
time.
good.
Yeah,
Because we went through all those Kim Anderson years after after Frank Haith left. Yeah. And of course, we're not even going to talk about Norfolk State, but yeah, terrible. I mean, honestly, Mizzou basketball was like KU football for a long time. Like I just wrote them off. I didn't
yeah,
check into the games at all. I was like, yeah, another year of us sucking. And then we got Quincy Martin, we got Michael Porter Jr. I went to his first game. Within two
yeah,
minutes, he's out of there. I'm like, wait,
yeah.
where'd he go?
I remember. I
and
remember that arena was fucking packed, dude.
oh yeah,
And we're all sitting in the
yep,
chair, and he goes in, and then
yep,
he's out, and then he's out for the season.
yep,
And I was like,
yep,
no way, bro.
yep. Came back for SEC tournament game against Georgia, I think, and then we played Florida State. And that game was close, but we didn't get it done. And then we made the tournament again 2 years later, I think. I don't remember if that was COVID year or after COVID. Well, no, because
I think
COVID
that's when
shut it down.
we played
That was
Oklahoma that
21.
year.
Yeah, we played Oklahoma,
Yeah,
another close game, but we couldn't get it done. And it just felt like it kind of felt like an old Chiefs team. Like we're make the playoffs, but just not good enough. And then, dude, I mean, last year it was. I'm trying to remember when I was like, okay, these guys are different because it might have been that Kentucky game, the first one at Mizzou. I think like early January.
I think you're right
We had
because
just beat. Oh, we
like
whooped Illinois too.
we went
Yeah.
like 9-10 or
Yep.
9-0. We got destroyed
Hmm.
by Kansas, and then I
Yep.
remember going
Yep.
into we destroyed Illinois. I don't know if Illinois. I forget if it came before or after Kentucky, but then you beat Kentucky. Like we just
Right.
like these teams that are like people look at like as basketball teams. Like Illinois and Kentucky are
Yeah.
always
The Blue
considered
Buds.
fairly
Yeah.
good. I
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
Kentucky in the preseason rankings are 16 and Illinois is 25, and we
Yeah.
we beat Illinois by like 20,
Yep.
and Kentucky we beat them comfortably as well.
Yep.
So I think at that point as well, I was like, yeah, like we're definitely better than everyone expected. I mean, I think that
Yep.
says a lot to the coaching staff. We took a lot of mid-major players, brought
Yep.
them up to a Power Five school in the
Yeah.
SEC.
Cleveland State.
Yeah,
They followed Gates from there. It was what Trey and Trago Million and
there was
lost
a
the name
lot of
from there.
kids.
Des Moines. Of course, Des
The more,
Moines. Yeah, dude, who's
yeah,
now in the NBA.
yeah.
Like Cleveland State to the Los Angeles Lakers. It's kind of wild.
So,
Um,
but I'm
yeah,
excited for fucking for basketball. It's right around the corner. We'll jump into that
yep,
a little bit deeper into the next game as far as like predicting the first game and whatnot. And I
yep,
kind of want to see the starting lineup, see who's out there.
yeah,
Um, But no, I think all things said and done, football feeling good, basketball excited,
yep.
um,
Good
and then
time to be a Mizzou fan.
great time to be a Mizzou fan. I couldn't it just feels good, man. It just feels so good. I literally talk about Mizzou every single day, so I'm glad we're starting this podcast. But the next
Yeah,
thing, before we end our first episode, as far as plans for the podcast for the future, um,
sir.
we'll just dive into that really quick as well. But every Wednesday, the new episode will come out. We'll cover Mizzou football and basketball primarily. You know what I mean? And then in the off season, we'll do some stuff as well. Schedule, like I said, is Wednesdays. Um, do you have anything else you wanted to add to the future of the show?
I mean, you're gonna hear me, talk about the Chiefs from time to time. It was a
And that's
little
all
bit
right.
of complaining this week because for some reason. Oh, I was gonna say that too. I was gonna save this line for the podcast. If I had to make a deal with God, which was in the winning streak against the Broncos to win this Georgia game, I'm doing that 10 times out of 10. So hopefully that is a deal that I made with God in my sleep and I didn't know about
Yeah.
because otherwise that sucked
So
on Sunday.
basically,
I
if
was
Mizzou loses to
pissed off.
Georgia and Chiefs
Yeah,
lost, it's all Andy's fault.
it might be. It might be. You guys can blame me. I'm the scapegoat. You got my Twitter handle there. Blow me up. Yeah, but dude, I that's the only reason I can think why we lost on Sunday. I mean, it was bound to happen at some point. We still got a good team. That I was going to say this too. Mizzou kind of feels like a more complete football team than the Chiefs right now because we got great quarterbacks. Obviously, Mahomes is one of one. But dude, besides Kelsey and a aging Kelsey, that I feel like I've been able to notice that more this year than any of the recent years. He's still Kelsey. He's still good, but I feel like unfortunately we're probably gonna have him another 2 3 years. But I kind of feel like he's finally slowly declining, very slowly, very slowly. I'm not saying this at all, but like I've just seen like he just gets tackled easier these days, and maybe he's just playing to be healthy, not trying to or to trying to avoid injury. But he just doesn't look. I mean, he's still getting open 15 times a game, which is insane. Um, but yeah, I don't know how we lost to the Broncos. It's Russell Wilson. It's the same shit show that gave up 70 points to the Dolphins. Um, I don't really know how to explain it. It sucked, but we
I
more
agree, but
importantly we got Mizzou to look forward to, and hopefully we bounce back against the Dolphins in Germany on Sunday.
yes, sir. Big Mizzou matchup this weekend. We gotta honestly, um, we'll jump off the Mizzou wagon just for a second. Kansas City as a whole has a bunch of big sports games this weekend. You got Mizzou and
Yeah,
Georgia on Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon, really. Then you have Chiefs versus Dolphins early Sunday morning, 8:30 Central Time, and then you got Sporting KC versus St. Louis City Sunday
yep,
at 4. So honestly, those are all the teams I root for. So I'm excited for this weekend. A lot of sports
yep.
games I'm going to be super tuned into, and we're going to start it off with our Missouri Tigers going to Athens, hopefully whooping that ass, coming back 8-1, number one in the SEC East. Atlanta is still the dream. Atlanta is still the goal. If you're new to the show, which everybody will be because it's our first one, follow the socials at the bottom. Off the Dome Show. That is our Twitter at the time. I will update the other socials when we get them. Lucas Henson is my Twitter handle. Andy Hedges 87 is the homie Andy, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. And I want to end every show with this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
MIZ.
ZOU.